both touched on it, but I did want to ask, just like, what do the logistics of being co-head coaches kind of look like to you guys? How do you, I guess, kind of separate those things, so to speak, amongst yourselves?
Well, I think the easiest way to answer that, like, Chris is a brilliant mind. He's a brilliant mind, and I think obviously when you go over to take a head coaching job, everybody's like, can you continue to be in the weeds the way that he wants to be in the weeds to coach the offense? I mean, that's what his claim to fame is building offenses. I think the best part about the head coaching gig is that I've sat in a lot of the rooms and a lot of the different roles that I've been a part of to have set me up for success to help be a head coach. So I'm gonna hopefully be able to take some of that responsibility that goes on to one person off so that he can stay in that offensive role, because we all know that sometimes you have to give a little bit in these roles to be able to manage an entire team and not just an offense. So I think with that being said, we live in the same household, so things are gonna get talked about, let's be real. But a lot. But to that point, I think the reason why this is gonna work really well, Chris hit on it, what he is may not be my strength. What my strengths may not be his. So you get the best. Every head coach is gonna have flaws, every single one of them. You don't have those flaws because you get both. And I think that's what makes this really unique. So we'll divide the duties, but we're gonna make sure that he can be in the cages to help run this offense.
So either one of you, the roster you inherit and the recruits, how are you balancing that, and do you expect everybody that's still here to be back?
Obviously we've got to make a jump. We've got to climb the ranks. Sooner than later. And most of the people, everyone that's still here, we're planning on coming back. We are involved in the portal. Only for, certain people that have been proven, or we know, man, if they can put this and this together, they're gonna help us make that jump sooner than later. Kind of what we're looking for, when we go recruiting, obviously you want athletes, right? What we wanna do with the culture here, is probably a little bit step further past that, right? We want good work ethic, people that are competitive, they want to get better, they want to get in there and understand what it's like to, hey, I'm figuring this out, I'm gonna stay here until I know I have this down. We're gonna push ourselves in the weight room, we're gonna pursue excellence in every aspect of what a program does, in the classroom, on the field, in the weight room. We want this culture to take a step forward, but let's get a little bit more where, the players that are here are competitive and understand that work ethic, but also sometimes to make it a little bit easier, we also want to bring others in that may help us like set that example, and we can see that firsthand. We want to be able to make that jump forward as soon as possible, and we want to make sure we have the right people here. We've had conversations with players here in the last week and a half, 2 weeks. When we had a Zoom the day of when everything was announced. A couple days later, we were out on Tumor's Corner, had a little ice cream with about 8 or 9 that were in town. Started kind of like meeting person then, and really they can kind of start getting a feel for our personalities. Had some people that weren't able to be there, either had some phone calls later on, they're maybe helping a travel team in a tournament that we were at. So, been able to have some conversations there of, what's going to be expected, moving forward. We feel like the players that are here have been all about it, and they're excited. They want to take a step forward. They want to work, they want to win, they want to be competitive, and that's our goal. At the end of the day, if you totally cut a roster, you don't know if you're cutting the right or wrong, people but if they want that and they want to get in and go, then let's go. But we've gotten some good feedback. It sounds like, they want this and we want this too. And so let's do it.
Bill Cameron, ESPN 106.7. You mentioned it a little while ago, but how important was it, or did you guys let any possible suitors know that you needed to be brought in as a team? And then a little follow-up on that, just talk about the difference in being the head coach and co-head coaches. How does it work during the ball games? I understand, you can talk about things in the dugout, but something happens on the field. Who runs out?
That's a good question.
No, I think, you wanna go?
Go ahead.
No, I think people all the time wanna say why it won't work instead of why it will. And I think that there's been some great people in this game that have shown how they can do it. I think ultimately we've created a staff that is gonna maximize what we're already building. From a head coaching standpoint, obviously Chris can speak to being a head coach on his own. But I think whenever you're talking about on-field responsibilities, like a lot of the conversations that have been had before, those conversations on decision-making and what's gonna happen, those have been discussed well before the game. Chris has proven that he can manage an offense and a roster. He's done that already as a head coach. I think whenever it comes to running a team, there will be voices that echo the same message. My message is Chris's message. Our assistants will then also echo that same message. If you have one message coming from the head coach and it's not coming from me or another assistant, we're all doing ourselves a disservice to those kids, right? That's where division comes. I actually think the co-head coaching thing is perfect because decisions will be made jointly, okay? Obviously, there will be times that he's gonna have to make decisions without consulting me, and I'll talk to him about those as well, okay? And that is fine. I'll get over it, okay? And vice versa. But I think at the end of the day, I mean, if with one head coach, there are decisions that have to be made in the moment and go. We do what we can at the best moment based on what that is. Chris will be the speaking acting head coach. He will be the speaking head coach when it comes to dealing with umpires and whatnot. That will most likely happen. Now listen, as we get going, he may want to be in the dugout more. If that's the case, I'm not afraid to go. I've been around this game plenty. I've been in the SEC plenty. I can do that. I think that's the cool thing is that we've both done it. So I think it'll be fun. I think we're gonna work through what that's gonna look like more as we get going now that we have our staff in place. But look at him, he's like, we're gonna talk about that. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, he's got the head coaching experience in that regard, but don't count me out.
Ditto.
Jacob Go with ESPN 106.7. It's a question for both of you from the offensive and the defensive perspective. Coming into and taking over an SEC program, an SEC that's getting better in just a couple of weeks in Texas, Oklahoma. What does that mean from both sides of the game and just taking over this program in the SEC it's the best conference in college softball?
I think that's what makes it so much fun. With the addition of those two, there is not, you really have no room for error. It was already a tough conference to maneuver through, right? Week by week. You're still gonna have the same number of conference series, so at the end of the day, you're still not breathing, right? And you're still, okay, we gotta go to this one. It kind of go back some things that we were able to kind of figure out even like at Tennessee. If you look across the board, I don't know if you can say, okay, this team has the most talent and this team, everybody's good. Every single team is good. I think one thing that we all learn as a staff there is just how to maneuver each weekend. At the end of the day, you're still doing the exact same thing. You have this challenge this weekend. Now you got this challenge, and you start getting mentally exhausted, right? You get in the middle of conference, it's just like, man, it's one after another. And it's gonna still be similar. Now you're just adding two more great teams. And you know, we're excited for that challenge. I do feel like with our experience in going through it, we can help our team, you know, with a solid perspective and how to tackle this next weekend. Now we're going to this one, and you know, but you know, one thing you just about guarantee now, like there's gonna be a lot of, you know, SEC opponents and super regionals. You know, there's a lot more matchups there, and you know that makes things tough. You know, if you've played them and all right, you've already played them 3 times. Now you got to play them. You know, you got to take 2 from them again, and you know, I think you know, there's gonna be a lot more of that. You know, but there's also become more familiarity, you know, with playing against Texas and Oklahoma with all of the teams in our conference. You know, that's a mystique before. You may see them at a tournament, you know, or go and, you know, play them once or, you know, some random place, but now there's a lot more familiarity with each other. You know, and that kind of switches how, you know, how those, you know, those weekends are going to be like. But we're excited for that challenge. You know, it's going to be fun. You just about guarantee almost a World Series champion is going to come from the SEC. You know, there's still some good teams that are not in the conference that are gonna, you know, they're gonna be in the mix every year. You know, but I think it's gonna make which, you know, you think, my man, how are you gonna make it stronger? It's gonna make the conference stronger. It's gonna make us all better. You know, bringing those 2 in, you know, it's gonna be a new environment for them as well. So, but we're excited. We're excited to tackle that.
Chris, the one place you have hardly any pitching production back. Is that a position you're looking at strongly in the board?
Yes. First, you know, I want to address Riker coming on staff. I personally believe he's the best pitching coach in the country, and he's going to continue to get better. Incredibly sharp, high character person, and wants what's best for the players. If you talk to his former players, they love him, you know, and they know they're going to get pushed. They know they're going to get better, you know, and so, like Kate was talking about developing, you know, when she was talking earlier, the people on our staff understand that importance and have done it before, and Riker has developed time and time again. That's a passion of his. There's been solid pitchers that in places he's been at that have gotten a lot better. But we also know there's only 4 on staff, and like you said, not a lot of experience. So we are looking to bring maybe a couple in to help with that, as well as continue to build and develop the pitchers that we have on staff. I've been in the other dugout, you know, and I've been, you know, where situation where we've had to scout. There are pitchers on staff that have some good stuff. You know, I think we can make them better. You know, but we also want to add a couple in, you know, to really solidify that circle.